Hello everyone, and welcome to John and Mandy Go RVing
We're in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania.
in the Pocono Mountains. Hello everyone, and welcome back to John and Mandy Go RVing. Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, which is also known as the Gateway to the Poconos, was founded in 1818. The town's original name was Mock Chunk, which is a Native American phrase that means sleeping bear when translated. In 1953, when Olympian Jim Thorpe passed away, his wife decided as a tribute to her husband to have his body moved to Mock Chunk, and in return, the town would change its name to Jim Thorpe, hoping this would bring some tourism to the struggling area. Jim Thorpe attended high school in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, where he was a star player on the football team. He competed in the 1912 Stockholm Olympics, winning both the pentathlon and the decathlon, which no one else has ever done. He also played Major League Baseball for over 6 years.
This memorial was dedicated in July 1992 and honors town residents who served in Vietnam. This is the Immaculate Conception Church, which was established in 1901.
The Phoenix Hose Company is the second of 4 original fire stations that once existed in Jim Thorpe. It stands empty now as it is in need of major repairs. The old Carbon County Jail was built of hand-cut stone in 1871 for only $125,000. It contains 27 prison cells, a dungeon, and a warden's apartment. This location is known for the 1870s hanging of 7 accused Molly Maguires for murder and other crimes after a series of violent conflicts. The Molly Maguires were an Irish secret society active in parts of Europe and the eastern United States, best known for their activism among the Irish Americans and immigrant coal miners. Today, the building is operated as the Old Jail Museum. When you're visiting Jim Thorpe, make sure you stop by the Stabin Museum to take in some of Victor's vibrant artwork and illustrations that seems to jump right off the canvas at you. His portfolio spans 25 years as one of the nation's top illustrators, gracing the New York Times, Rolling Stone, Disney, Time Magazine, as well as commissioned 9 postal stamps for the Postal Service, among other things. Today we meet with Victor to get a good idea of what he's been up to since he moved to Jim Thorpe over 15 years ago. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take a few moments to check out some of his artwork over the years. What kind of art do you enjoy working with?
What do I do? I'm a visual artist in that I do paintings and graphics. Since I've been in the building, I've considered the building an art form. You haven't really walked around the whole place yet, but we've been designing it and constructing and like creating this new environment as we go along. And one of the things that you can, like, an example of that is the room next door with the gigantic beams.
Yes.
We just sort of conquered that a couple of months ago, in that we took the ceiling down so we could show it off. More about the artwork. I used to be an illustrator, and now I work as an independent artist who creates his own themes. As an illustrator, you're sort of working on commissions, other people's ideas. I did that for about a couple of decades. Now I'm working on my own stuff. We came into this building. I was renting a studio in the building about 18 years ago.
Okay.
It came up for sale, and I bought it for almost nothing. And since then, I don't know how much renovation. It's one of those things. And as I created the space, I started filling it with the artwork. The room we're in now is the Turtle series. It's a series of biographical paintings that are allegories that tell the story of my life in the context of an icon that I just decided to work on early on, which is the turtle. And it was a self-imposed assignment that I gave myself. And initially, it seemed a little forced. I said, okay, I'll do this. I'll create a body of work that is thematic with a turtle in it. And the more I did it, the more I enjoyed it, right? And so I think in terms of like, how can I put a turtle into my next painting all the time? Which, if I was looking at it from the outside, I would think, that's odd. But it's very comfortable for me.
Right.
And so, one of the things that was happening is, I'm working on this series when my kids are 3 and 4.
Okay.
And in this painting, you could like focus on this painting now. In this painting, I show my kids jumping on what they call the mommy and daddy bed. They would take a bath, we'd dry them off, and then they would run into our bedroom and jump up and down. And one of the things that I noticed is the pure joy they had. You could focus on this gal's face. You could just see that when's the next time you could be that happy. And I said, I gotta put this in the turtle series. So I put them jumping on the bed, I put the turtle in the foreground, and I love ellipses and I love spirals. So to make this piece of work, to tie this piece of work together, I created this gigantic spiral that is banding the inside of the room. And if you look, like, there's a spiral in here, there's a spiral, there's hidden spirals everywhere, right?
Yes.
I don't know how many there are, but here's like another one. I just can't stop making them. And there's a turtle up here that's crashing in as if the top of the painting is water. So this is the turtle series coming to life in the context of my family growing up. And over here we have a painting that is of my daughter, and I'm very connected to art history in that when people ask me, like, who are your influences? There are many influences. It goes back to the Renaissance, and it comes forward internationally to cultures like the Japanese, and the Dutch, and the Italians, and Inuit Eskimos. And so I have my little daughter here. She's looking at the ABCs of art. She has a book on her lap. This is Picasso, this is Henry Rousseau, this is John Singer Sargent.
Oh, wow.
And what I want to have, this painting is called The Fairer Hand. And what's going on in this painting is, it's dipping into art history. It's my hope that my daughter will follow and create a dynasty as far as a family of artists. And she's sitting in a studio that has a Jackson Pollock floor. Behind her is an abstract painting of a turtle shell, which celebrates abstract art. It has a grid going through it, which is something you would never have in a piece of abstract art. And that is also a reference to art history, because before they could blow something up with a projector, they would grid it out and look at it and follow the grid to reproduce something small into something big. So it didn't quite work out with this gal. She didn't become a visual artist, but she's a fantastic jazz pianist. And my other daughter, who's jumping up over here, she's a better artist than I am. And she's 17 years old. So her name's Ariel Stabin. The world has got to watch out.
Do you have any of her art here too? Or?
Not as immediately accessible. It's across the street.
Gotcha.
But when they were this age, or a little younger than this, I was reading them too many ABC books, and they were mind-numbingly dull.
All right.
So what I did was, I decided to make an ABC book predicated on the dictionary, right?
Okay.
And so, predicated or inspired by. And what I did was, for example, the letter C, I found the word chelonia. I had no idea that another word for turtle is chelonia, so that really brightened up my brain.
Wow, yeah. Okay.
And then I found the word caoutchouc. Caoutchouc is the rubber eraser that artists use. It's called a kneaded eraser, and you sort of pull it and you soften it up, and it's just a piece of gum. It's like a piece of gum.
Okay.
And it's used for erasing lead. And I've been using it since I was 12. I had no idea it was made of a material called caoutchouc, if in fact that's the way we pronounce it. But over here, here's the word, and I never, I get the eraser, I take the label off, I never look at the word. I find this in the dictionary, I find this on the eraser. Again, my brain is like...
Yeah, always working.
It's brightening up because of all this info connecting. And I did about 3 of these. Like I did ABC, and I realized reading the dictionary was giving me so many ideas that I took on the whole project. It took 3.5 years. So if you zip around the room, you can see all the artwork in the book. And you can buy the book at victorstabin.com. And one of the things that happened after this book was created, somebody came in here from the Allentown Art Museum. They gave me a one-man show. And then they have an education department, and they asked me to be an artist in residence in all these different regional schools. And I wound up teaching a class predicated or inspired by the dictionary, doing exactly what I did, right?
Right.
And so my first class in school, the first day was 26 kids. I said, we're gonna make an ABC book.
Nice.
And so I had kids reading the dictionary, learning new words, coming up with ideas. And that got turned into this.
Okay.
This is student work, right? And this is book after book after book of student work. And I also made the book into a box of flashcards. Boom.
Okay.
There it is. And then over here is the book, which is a labor of love. It took me about 10 years to make this book. And the book has fold-outs. The book is sewn together, not glued together. It's the highest quality book that you can make in the world. It's flat out. I went to the most expensive printer and made a product that will last for hundreds of years.
Sure, it's going.
Oh yeah, it's going. This town used to flood every year back in its heyday, and the water would just come rushing down this main street. And people would literally every year pick up their furniture and move it to the second floor of their residence because it would flood so badly. And I guess I don't know when, but they obviously decided we're going to contain this creek with some kind of canal. As we're visiting, but it is one winding back and forth under the street and under houses. And it's really, really cool. And he is the artist designed, you'll see architectural elements that he's incorporated all throughout the building.
Yeah, so it's just one big piece of art, this building.
It is. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing, yeah. Beautiful. And he seems like a nice guy, too.
Yes, he's real nice.
definitely crowded today though. We could barely find any parking. We got lucky and parked back there at the art museum.
Perfect fall day for this though.
Yes.
It's gorgeous.
Peak time for leaf peeping. That's definitely the area to do here in Poconos.
Everything's decorated for Halloween.
This house was built in 1844, and it's the oldest standing house that's been unchanged in this town.
The Mock Chuck Museum gives you a sense of what Jim Thorpe was before the town was named after the athlete. The museum's main exhibit is the history of Mock Chunk. The Mock Chunk Opera House is one of America's oldest theaters, in operation for more than 138 years. The town of Jim Thorpe is absolutely adorable, with small museums, shops, and eateries lining the streets. It is a destination for outdoor activities like biking, whitewater rafting, and hiking.
That's pretty neat how it's just kind of tucked away there. The Notch 8 Craft House.
He's already said hi to me.
You get some bear.
Oh, yeah, that was sitting next to you. Must be in the shopping district now.
Oh, East Thing Vintage Gifts and Notions. As you can see, there is a lot of traffic and not a whole lot of places to park, so when you visit, make sure you come early to have a chance at getting a parking spot.
The Carbon County Courthouse opened in 1893 and was modeled after Big Ben in London.
The historic Mock Chunk Railroad Station was built in 1888 by the Central Railroad of New Jersey. It is now owned by the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Highway, which operates passenger excursions through the Lehigh Gorge State Park.
St. Mark's Episcopal Church was completed in 1869 and was largely funded by Asa Packer, a local millionaire who made his fortune in coal.
St. Mark's is a prominent example of Gothic Revival architecture that's built primarily out of local gray stone with red stone as trim. This street really takes me back in time. I feel like I'm back in London, England. The Soldiers and Sailors Monument was dedicated in 1886 to honor veterans of the Civil War and earlier conflicts from the borough of Mauch Chunk and nearby communities.
The Hotel Switzerland was established in 1830 and is the oldest commercial building in Jim Thorpe. The building also contains a pub named Molly Maguire's. We didn't get to eat here, but I'm guessing it's pretty good. There were a lot of people waiting for a table. One of the most popular activities for tourists is biking. You can rent bikes for an hour or for a day. You can also book a whitewater rafting tour. This mansion was completed in 1861 and was the home of coal mining millionaire Asa Packer. Asa Packer was also the founder of Lehigh University. It is open daily for self-guided tours. Just steps away is the Henry Packer Mansion. The mansion is a working hotel and has many different events such as murder mystery dinners. And if it looks familiar, it was the inspiration for Walt Disney World's Haunted Mansion.
Thanks everyone for joining us today, and if you found any of this information useful, please give us a like and feel free to subscribe. Take care everyone.